for whatever reason, you might feel misunderstood. Whether it's by your parents, or by a colleague, or a coworker, at some point in your life, someone is going to get the wrong idea about you, or not completely understand what you're trying to say, or who you are. And, it can be a very traumatic experience in certain ways. It feels like people are very quick to put you in a box, or contextualize you in a certain way, or even spread rumors about you based on their impressions when they're baseless and they don't mean anything. I think that naturally, because we are separate individuals, we're not psychic, we can't truly know each other, we can only get as close as language permits us to. I think naturally people feel very isolated or very alone, or they feel like no one in the whole world understands them. Even people who've been married for 30 years and have their spouse, this person that they've committed their life to being with, even they have fights and misunderstandings and arguments over just their definitions of things that they weren't aware of, or all these misunderstandings that stem from just not having a true understanding of each other. The reality is that no one is ever going to truly understand you. And it's a hard pill to swallow. It's a hard reality of this world because I feel like everyone wants to be understood, It's like that's one of the great appeals of finding the one, We want to finally find that right person who will understand you, and you'll get married and have kids together, and it'll be happily ever after. Maybe your kids will understand you, or maybe someone out there in the world, at least one person has to understand me. The reality is that you can have deep, meaningful relationships, you can have people that understand you better than others, but the reality is that no one is ever going to see you the way that you see yourself. No one is ever going to truly understand you in that way. Only you can do that for yourself. And so in a way, you almost have to cultivate a good self-relationship. You almost have to be there for yourself in that way and try to put in that extra effort to be cognizant of your situation and how you're feeling and everything about that. It's like I think daily journaling is a very powerful practice. Most people think it's like a fad, or they're kind of like, what? Like, you want me to sit and write down in a journal every day? What's the point? And I was sort of in that camp, but I just saw this random Instagram post a long time ago, and it was talking about some of the benefits of that. And one that really stuck out to me is that someone said it helps you cultivate a better relationship with yourself. They said that part of the reason that we feel so misunderstood is because we don't have a close enough, good enough relationship with ourselves, that we're sort of looking for those around, looking for that in those around us, looking for others to maintain us. They say that you want to have these really close relationships, you want to be friends with these people so that you can express things and feel understood. You can sit and talk about your life and what's going on and how you're feeling, and you feel perfectly justified. You're like, if at least one person understands me, even if this person has the wrong idea and treats me bad and calls me names, this other person actually knows who I am. They know what's up, and they're protecting me by having this positive perception. That's why it hurts more when the people you're close to hurt you, because it's like, if they say something negative about you, it feels so much more real, because you're like, well, surely they must understand me, and if they understand me and they say this, then maybe I'm wrong about myself. Maybe I am a terrible person. Maybe I do like feet. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I tried journaling, and it's not the sort of thing where I've consistently kept up with it. I haven't done it for years, but there was a period there where I really felt lost, and I really felt like, wow, I don't know what's going on. I feel like my head is overflowing and I can't get it out, and no one really cares when it comes down to it. There's no one to really talk about with that. So I started journaling, and they say you want to consistently do it. They say that the benefits come from that consistency with it. So I was like, all right, well, I'll just do it every day for a couple of months. And at first I kind of had a hard time getting myself to do it. I was kind of like, this is dumb. I'm just opening a PDF or a Google Docs and just writing my thoughts out. How can that be helpful at all? But eventually I got to the point where it really felt like I was starting to understand my situation and myself and my habits and my strengths, my weaknesses better as I did that. And I got to the point where I almost wanted to check in with myself and, see what's going on and write in my journal every day. It was very therapeutic. It felt like in that moment, things I'd been repressing, memories of of when I was a child, all sorts of things started to bubble to the surface. And I got this sort of closure being able to talk about them in a way that I was never able to get, having a conversation with others. It's like people can be understanding and, people can be a good outlet for your emotions, but you shouldn't rely on other people to help you get to that state of clarity where you've, worked through all of these internal struggles you're dealing with. I think that journaling helped me with that in a big way. But not just that, it made me realize the solitary nature of existence, because I was definitely at a point in my life where I thought that, I was feeling this way because I felt misunderstood. Like, I wanted to be seen, I wanted to be known fully and completely so that at least a few people out there, at least someone got me. And I still thought that was possible. But when I started journaling for long enough and I cultivated a better relationship with myself, I realized I don't need anyone to maintain me. I don't need anyone to think I'm great or think certain things about me, because I have myself for that. And no one understands me as well as I do. No one has to live in my own head every single day. Like, if you make a mistake at work and, someone thinks you're an airhead or someone thinks something negative about you, you can kind of take it to heart. But it's like they didn't know everything that went into that. They didn't know that your dog died last week. They didn't know that your car broke down on the way to work. Like, only you can truly understand the full grasp of why you do the things you do. Like, we're separate individuals. And if you were always looking for people to maintain you and always taking personally people's perceptions of you, because, you want to have at least someone understand you in that way, you at least want someone to see your perspective. If you're always searching for that your entire life, I promise it will only bring you unhappiness. It's like what will truly free you from that is just getting to a place where you have a good enough relationship with yourself, you have enough open dialogue with yourself, almost like, you have to treat yourself like a separate individual, treat yourself like you're your own best friend. And when I got to that point, I felt like my relationships became better too, because suddenly I wasn't looking for my best friends to maintain who I was. I didn't have to sit and talk with them about, how I was feeling in these negative emotions. And sometimes we still do. Sometimes we still do because, our friendships are really powerful and we're capable of that. But it didn't feel like this demanding presence that we had, like this back and forth where it felt like he needed to complain about these things in his life and share his perspective and rant so that someone saw it from his line of reasoning and was like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. It's like that doesn't happen anymore, I realize that that's the ego that demands that. And if you give that to yourself, suddenly all of your relationships can be focused on more pure loving aspects where you're just there to support each other and not needing to know everything about each other and respecting, the separation that you two have, that you're not the same person, that you aren't, living in the same body or having the same experiences. You're going out and, working different jobs and meeting different people. And we don't need to know everything about each other, because the personality, like who we actually are down to our core, not our experiences or memories, but just who we are, like that is clearly seen in our relationship. And so for a lot of reasons, I think that this feeling of misunderstanding is actually a feeling of not having a good enough relationship with yourself. It's actually a feeling of misunderstanding yourself and your internal dialogue and everything going on in your head, So instead of trying to, look outwardly, trying to find that one person who will finally get it, trying to search for like-minded individuals that can really see eye to eye with you, it's like, I wouldn't say that is completely invaluable, obviously. I think it's incredible to have like-minded people around. I think that cultivating relationships with like-minded individuals who have the same interests or same philosophies in life is obviously incredible, and you should pursue that. But you need to pursue it for the right reasons. You need to pursue it with your extra energy to give to the relationship instead of trying to demand something from this person in an energetic way, instead of coming around and immediately looking to, explain something that's been on your mind about yourself, or explain something that you've been through that you feel like you need to vent about. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a journal that you do this through, but I think in some form you need to express yourself to yourself, whether it's creatively, whether it's playing an instrument, or whether it's just sitting in front of the mirror and talking about life and acting like a schizo and just being all talking to yourself. I do that all the time. I pretend almost like I'm a separate person and that I'm my own best friend. I'm looking out for myself and I'm just being my own advocate and saying yeah, this and that. And it seems kind of weird. It seems like, okay bro, you do you, but I promise starting to switch this mentality where you are a separate individual from yourself, it's creating that almost split personality has very much helped me with my own inner peace and self-love. Because it seems like a really strange, zany concept, but I promise it actually works. If you start to see yourself as someone you care about, who you want to succeed, someone that you want to nurture and foster and, give the right amount of encouragement, that actually will make a massive difference in your life. When you fail at something, you uniquely are aware of why you failed. You uniquely have been in that situation with all of the, causes and all of the effects. Aw, dude. That was tragic. I'm recording this after the fact, but yeah, on Bedrock, if you kill a drown, it drops all its armor. But it just dropped Feather Falling 3, which is still good. But yeah. You know, for me, like, you know, at a certain point, I caught up with myself in terms of all of that. You know, I got to the point where I felt like I was at a peaceful place where I fully understood everything, and I didn't need to continue. You know, I stopped journaling after 3 or 4 months, and it's almost like this sludge, like this toxicity from your daily life starts to pile up. And if you don't check in with yourself occasionally, like, it almost starts to overflow and it affects all your relationships. But whatever way you do that, you have to keep up with. You have to be cognizant of when it's necessary and when it's not. For me, like, even this YouTube channel has sort of been like a good way to express myself. Maybe not in the same way. I'm not like talking about, you know, like what happened to me today, this or that. But it's like getting these thoughts out of my head so that I don't have to sit and vent to someone has really helped, you know, like, because it's like the reality is, too, it's like most likely people aren't going to care. Most likely people are looking for a chance for them to talk about themselves, and they don't really want to hear about, you know, why you feel this specific way or why you're upset with this specific person or all these things that humans tend to do. It's like in a conversation, they're almost just waiting for their chance to say what they want to say. Like, they don't care what you have to say. So this is the build. This is the library, guys. Next episode, I'm probably going to, you know, modify it, change a lot of things around. It still has problems. It still doesn't look that nice. But a lot of work to do, but I think this library is going to be incredible. I know it's a massive project for just a library, but I can throw an enchanting table in there. I'm going to get a cow farm so I can get tons of books and bookshelves and just get it all set up. So stick around for that. Promise this library is going to be beautiful, even though it looks kind of weird right now. Just trust the process. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching, and see you guys tomorrow.